All right, welcome. And you are being recorded. Uh, let's see. Got a couple of you here. Do you have questions before we get started? Sounds like no. So let's get rid of this guy. Get over into the lab. Whoops. Maybe get over into the lab. All right. As you would expect, this week is a duplicate of last week, except in Postgres. Okay. Now, uh, what you will find this week is that Postgres does not have the concept of a package. They still do overloading, but the way that they do overloading is to create two different procedures, each with the same name, but with a different parameter set. Sound familiar? The only difference is that they don't support packaging. And so it is a bit of a disadvantage from the perspective of performance and dependency and security, several issues that you read about in last week's reading as to why we use packages. Uh, Unfortunately, Postgres does not support. So even though they can support the overloading, not being able to support packages is a little bit of a detriment. But you may find it easier. Uh, so there's pros and cons on both sides of that coin. Okay. Uh, let's see. First things first. As you did back in week 9 and 10, you're going to run a script that will create the tables that we're using here in the classroom. So it's the same script that we ran back in week 9. And if you remember, back in week 9, we had to make an adjustment to that script in order for it to work. You have to make that same adjustment this week. And so in the announcement, this is the announcement that I've got up on the screen. You need to comment out the last two lines of the script. Otherwise, the script will fail and you will not create your tables. Now, why are we doing this? If we did it back in week 9, the objective is this script actually drops and recreates the table. So the objective of the script is to give us a fresh set of tables. Uh, any changes that we made in the previous exercise will get wiped out and we'll have a fresh set to start with. Really, the only way that we can guarantee that you'll see the solution that we want you to see. Okay. In the preparation material, oops, that's not what I want. Let me get rid of that guy. In the preparation material, he walks you through as we have done in every other lab. And as I said back several times now, pay close attention to the preparation material. It is very close to what you'll be doing in the lab. Now, of course, you won't be creating and dropping tables because the script that we run takes care of that for you. So all of the stuff on creating and dropping tables you can ignore. That's done. But you will be creating the functions. Again, last week in Oracle, we created these as local functions inside our package. In PostgreSQL, we have to create those each as separate functions. So we're going to create one to get the cartoon ID. You're actually going to end up creating three separate functions. And you will do the same thing. We'll talk more about it as we get over into the lab. Uh, I think there's three separate functions. There might be two. We'll get there. Then you're going to create the procedure again, just like we did last week. The key piece is that notice that there is no package. So we start right out with creating the first procedure, which is going to accept an integer value. Then we're going to, and that's going to do all the work. That's going to insert into our tables. Then we're going to create another procedure that accepts a varchar value. That's what distinguishes the two. Remember, they have the same name. Both are called Warner Brother, but one is accepting a numeric value. The other one is accepting an alphanumeric value. And that's what distinguishes them. Then just like we did last week in lab 10, you're going to take the username, convert it to user ID, and then you're going to call the first procedure. For our purposes here in the lab this week, you're going to start out with the lab from week 9. So again, if you have not got week 9 lab working, please, please, please contact me immediately. Let's make sure you get your week 9 working as soon as possible so that you can get into week 11. So dropping down to the task at hand, you're going to start out by dropping the procedures if they exist, and they will not at this stage of the game. You haven't run them yet, so they will not exist. And then you're going to come down and create your functions. You're going to create a function for get member ID. Uh, you can copy this from, well, all of this you did in week 9. So assuming that you got week 9 working, everything so far is going to be a direct copy from week 9. Okay. And the first lab, I'm sorry, the first procedure, oops, better get through the functions first. You're going to have a function for get member ID. That's going to come directly from week 9. Then you're going to create a function for get member ID, again, from week 9. And then you're going to drop down and create a function for get system user ID. So you will create a total of 3 functions. And if I remember right, he gives you all of the code for all 3 of these. I don't think there's any guesswork on this one. I think he gives you the code for all 3. Yeah, he does. Okay. So this part will not be a challenge. You don't even have to go back to week 9 to get it. But I do want to point out a couple of things. Don't forget your $. Okay. I still had people this last week that forgot the $, and your code comes to me as a single long line of unreadable code. So $, just before the declare, then $, language PLPG SQL as the last line in the code. Then we're going to create our procedures. So you're going to create 2 contact insert procedures. The first contact insert procedure, by far the easiest way to do that one is to copy what you have from week 9. If you want to, he also gives you an outline for doing it right here. He doesn't give you all of the code. If you use your week 9 solution, then you'll have all of the code. You will make a couple of changes. The first procedure is going to accept a integer value, a system user ID. Then I think the rest of this is pretty straightforward based upon what we did in both weeks 9, 8, 9, and 10. Again, if you use your code, this will already be done for you, but this is now getting the types. And so we have a member type, we have a contact type, telephone type. I'm missing a couple, okay? But you'll grab the 5 types. The format is given to you right here. You just need to complete the other 4 by specifying, let's see, credit card. would be from the member table, and the type would be credit card type. Then coming on down, you don't have to now derive the ID because it is given to you. And so if I come down through here, we're getting the member ID is coming into you. I'm sorry, the system user ID. I'm getting my head on, not get my head on straight. The user ID, this use in Lab 9, this said username, and we had to convert that to a user ID. Now, since you're getting the user ID in directly, you don't have to do that conversion process. So that little bit of code you can remove from your Lab 9 code. Not going to hurt anything if you leave it there, but you don't need it. Yeah, it is going to hurt something. Yeah, I said that wrong. It is going to hurt something if you leave it there because it's going to be looking for PV system username, and you're not passing in a username. So the first one now is taking the user ID being passed into you, is then going to pass the information across the 5 tables. So into contact, into address, into street address, into telephone. Remember to comment out the exception section until you get your code working. Again, several forgot that again last week, and so they were not getting any errors, but they got all the way to the end and nothing had been inserted into the tables. Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. Okay, I think we're good at that point. Uh, oh, I did want to mention all of the inserts are complete as they are. So you don't have to do anything here, even if you don't use your Lab 9 code. But I really strongly recommend that you grab your Lab 9 code, assuming that it's working, and use that correctly. It'll save you a lot of work. Okay. Uh, then you're going to create the second procedure. Again, you're outside of the package construct. So you've created the first procedure. Now you're going to create the second procedure and pass in a username. Now we have to go through the process of converting that username to a user ID. Again, you can copy that code directly last week or week 9, either one. It's exactly the same in week 9 and in week 10. And then you're going to do a call out to the first. Huh. This is usually my allergies are getting to me tonight. And you're going to do a call out to the first insert procedure. Okay, so that is going to look a lot like what we did up in the preparation material. In Oracle, you just reference the name and pass it the parameters. In PostgreSQL, you have to use the call keyword in order to accomplish the same thing. And so notice here we're doing a call out to Warner Brother, passing in the parameter values. You're going to do a call out to insert contact, after contact insert. What did we call it? Is it contact insert? I think it is. We're going to do a call out to contact insert, passing it the parameter values. So again, really the only difference is that you're going to use that call keyword. Again, oops, this is the first procedure. Here's the second procedure. Don't forget to comment out your exception blocks until you get your code working. Then we're going to do the test. One of the big problems that I ran into last week is even in the do blocks, you have to have the $, or again, your code comes to me as being unreadable. You have to have it when you create a function. You have to have it when you create a procedure. You have to have it in a do block. Okay. And so we're going to clean up our tables so that you can rerun this. If you get a partial result, but not the full result, the deletes will get rid of everything that you've got out there, and then we can rerun the procedure. And you're going to do an insert for Eric Lencher. You're going to do an insert for Charles Francis Xavier. You're going to do an insert for Henry Philip McCoy. And your final test, your final select statement is given to you, and you should see 3 rows as a result of your testing. If you completed week 9 and got week 9 working successfully, copy it straight across. If you didn't get week 9 working, contact me immediately. Let's get it working. Okay. But if we look at the 3 tests here, and I wanted to do that real quickly, notice that the first test is passing in a numeric value. That's going to call and execute the first procedure. The second and the third tests are both passing in an alphanumeric value. They're going to call the second procedure. The second procedure converts that to a numeric value, then calls the first procedure. Hopefully, that sounds fairly straightforward to you. And if you've done okay the last 2 weeks on Lab 9 and 10, this one really should be fairly straightforward. I hope it doesn't cause you issues or problems. Go back to the announcement. What are you going to submit to me? Oops, that's not the announcement. Where did my announcement go? Here it is. What you're going to submit to me is the code for both of the contact insert procedures. There will be 2 different procedures, one for the numeric value, one for the alphanumeric value. And then each of the 3 tests submit the results of the last query. So what you can put this whole thing in a script, give me the whole shebang, and that's fine. I love it when that happens. But as a minimum, I must see the 2 contact insert procedures, and I must see the results of the last query. Okay? Questions, questions, questions.
I don't have any.
Okay.
Not really any. I'm just following along and trying to make sure I have the right stuff in the right places. And that's
Hey, the thing with learning a new language is all of the stupid syntax. And since we're working with 2 languages here, it's the syntax for Oracle versus the syntax for Postgres. It's one of those challenges that I run into on almost a daily basis because I'm a contractor working with a number of different companies. Gee, which database system am I working with this week? And so that becomes a challenge. But again, one step at a time. Take it slow, take it easy. Don't get to the point of being frustrated. If you're having questions, if you're having problems, let me help you out. Okay. That's if I were not helping you on the labs and if I were not giving you assistance on the labs, there would be no reason for me to be here. I could just hand you the book and say, have fun. So the reason I'm here is to help. So please, please, please let me help. Okay. With that, have a great week. Let me help where I can. And I really hope you don't find this one too tough. I hope it's very straightforward for you. Have a great week, guys.
Thanks, Brother Hinckley.
Brother Hinkley. Bye.
Good night.